We're starting a new series on medical care in Vermont as the state hospital and healthcare system faces a new round of pressures. Insurance costs are rising, both here and nationwide. Several of the state's hospitals are facing financial challenges. A recent consultants report, commissioned by the state legislature, found that many of the state's hospitals were operating at a financial loss and recommended consolidating some of their services in with larger hospitals. This report has drawn a quick and stern pushback from the Vermont Association of Hospitals and Healthcare Systems, which disputed the accuracy of some of the report's findings. Whatever the final determination, it's no secret that healthcare in Vermont is facing the same challenges other rural states are: fewer physicians than would be desirable, and high cost structures, which impact those without Medicare, Medicaid, or other insurance through the Affordable Care Act. We'll take a deeper dive into the hospital side of this later. But for private individual patients, there's another route to paying for healthcare expenses. It's called direct primary care. It's a practice and payment model where patients and consumers pay their physician or practice directly in the form of periodic payments for a defined set of primary care services. Direct primary care practices typically charge patients a flat monthly or annual fee under terms of a contract in exchange for access to a broad range of primary care and medical administrative services. Dr. Leela Presti is a local family doctor based in Manchester who has adopted this model, and we met up with him at his office off of Depot Street in Manchester to have him explain it to us.
It's sort of a, if you will, second generation concierge model, but there isn't the upfront fee that the concierge model charges. And then the concierge model also bills your insurance. All right, so we tried to simplify both of those things, get rid of the upfront fee, and we don't deal with any insurances at all. Now, the concept there is that the thing that is driving a lot of primary care people to distraction at this point is the amount of paperwork that's involved in billing, rebilling, and then dealing with all the different people who you have to deal with to get that done. You end up with a lot of administrators who also all want a piece of us. And many of us have felt that we are no longer practicing medicine. We're doing paperwork. And the standard office visit in most practices is 15 minutes, maybe 20. A recent study showed that, run by an electronic health record company, looked at all of the inputs and outputs that people made into a record for a patient, and they had like 1 million samples, and the average time that was spent putting data into the electronic health record was 15.7 minutes per patient, which if you're doing even a 20-minute visit, that leaves you with 4.3 minutes per patient. And that's not where we all want to be. So this model frees me up to do what I was trained to do, which is practice medicine. And that's why I like it. I think it's better for the patients because you're not a number. Direct primary care practices rarely will have more than 500 patients, and I've never heard of one having more than 700. And the average number of patients assigned to a primary care physician in the usual systems that most people go to is around 2,300. So I'm going to know my patients better. I will be able to spend more time with them, answer all of their questions. And the other thing the flexibility that this gives to the patients is that they can contact me any way they want. All right, if you're dealing with a primary care physician who's in an office-based practice where they don't use this model, then they only get to bill you when they see you in the office. And therefore, they're going to want to see you in the office. Okay? I get paid monthly by my patients, and so if they want to contact me by text, by Zoom, by phone call, whatever works for them, I can do it because it doesn't affect whether or not I get paid for that month. And so I think it gives the patients more flexibility, more freedom, and I think that they get more comprehensive care because I spend more time with them.
So that sounds like a very common sense approach, and one that would seem to work very well for many private physicians or family doctors, people who want to be family doctors. Why is it not more widespread, do you think?
It was invented somewhere around 2012. People dispute when that happened, but somewhere around 2012 was when it was invented. And in Vermont, in the last year and a half, we have doubled the number of DPC practitioners in the state. Granted, only from 4 to 8, but it's still a doubling. And nationwide, we're up to 3,500 doctors practicing this model. I think that's the number. And so it's spreading, and as doctors hear about it, they say, why am I not doing that? And that was kind of where I was why am I not doing that? I have 2 friends who do it, and they were both on my case and saying, you have to do this. We love it.
The role of the insurance companies then has gotten a lot more intrusive and complicated in the last, 20 or so years. Is that?
Absolutely, although it was at times complicated. Even when I was in my own practice back in Manchester, I was absolutely flabbergasted by the fact that Blue Cross and Blue Shield had 6 different plans, all designated with letters, and filling out the same billing form, which was known as a HIC for 1,500, you had to fill it out differently depending on which plan they were on. And to me, that's just nuts. I mean, I'm giving you all the same information, but they had little edits in little sub areas that you had to do to make it comply with that plan. And I don't know why they couldn't have done those edits on their own patients if they're making up that rule. But it's gotten way, way worse. Prior authorizations were not a thing back then, and they've added prepayment edits and post-payment edits, and it's just gotten honestly almost absurd.
How does this interface with people who are like on Medicare or Medicaid? Is it any different, or?
I cannot take Medicaid and Medicare patients because they require me to bill them, and billing is just something we've chosen not to do in this style of practice. I do have a bunch of patients who are on Medicare who want the attention that they're not getting from the system, and they have the money to afford it, and that's fine. I'm not saying that that's a great solution. I would prefer that Medicare have a capitated rate, a monthly rate that they would pay me, and then I would take all the Medicare people I could, who wanted to come here. But right now, it's only the people who, can choose to pay in addition to whatever they're paying Medicare. I provide all of the health maintenance laboratories and many other routine lab tests as included in that membership fee, no extra charge. All right, and that is because for something that is commonly ordered like a complete blood count and is often charged at $70 or $80 in the real world, quote unquote, the lab charges me $2. And so I can afford to put that in the membership fee. And so there are also 55 medicines that I keep in the office on site, no controlled substances, but they are also all included in the membership. So if you come in here and you need a prescription for amoxicillin, boom, I give it to you. You don't have to go to the pharmacy, you don't have to wait, you don't have to pay extra, no copays on the medicines. And that's because these things are ridiculously inexpensive when bought on the open market. And then those costs get marked up ridiculously when they have to go out to Pharmacies and the insurance companies pay, and everybody's got some administrative hand in it, and that costs money. The thing about all of this is that capitation is not a common way to pay primary care physicians. I think it should be, because it's just simple, it's easy, and I've always been taught to keep it simple, stupid. And I think that this is simple. And if they just paid me an annual fee, if Medicare paid me an annual fee, an insurance company paid me an annual fee or a monthly fee, and I could take care of the patients, I'd be ridiculously happy.
We'll be continuing the series on healthcare in Vermont going forward and looking at other issues faced by healthcare providers. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.